Hey. What's going on, guys? What's going on? We back. We here. Facts over feelings, baby. Sunday night tapping. We're here to get it rocking. We are locked, cocked, and ready to rock. We got a lot to touch in on. A lot. But we're going to get to it. You know, we're going to break it down to its lowest common denominator, but we're going to get to it, though. Right? Hopefully you guys had a good day. It was a bit of a scorcher. Not like how it's going to be on Tuesday, though. Good Lord. It's going to be crazy. But what are you going to do, huh? Like I said, Mother Nature, she's temperamental. She's going to do what she's going to do. You just got to roll with it, right? But we here, man. Facts over feelings. Tonight, is what I call a Fat Joe show. This is the Fat Joe show. We got to touch on this knock-kneed Puerto Rican. We got to touch on this knock-kneed Puerto Rican, man. You know, he's been around for a long time, you know, in the mix, you know, always in somebody else's mix. Now it's time to get to him, all right? It's time to get to him. It's shine time on that boy. We're going to get to it, though, you know? But before we get into anything else, please, if you guys don't mind, please, like, share, and subscribe. Do me the honors. Do me the great honors of like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend. We're here to get to it, man. Road to 1K subs. It's a small milestone, but a milestone nonetheless, right? But you have to set checkpoints. When you reach that first checkpoint, then you get to the second checkpoint. All right? So, but that's the first milestone, and I need all of you to help me out to reach that first milestone by liking, sharing, and subscribing. I'm in the heat getting to it for you guys, man, you know, because we got to get to it. All right. Like, share, and subscribe. Please, one more time. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm on my Dr. Ubon tip. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Oh, yeah. We get to it over here on Facts Over Feeling, where we get it locked, cocked, ready to rock, baby. All right. Secondly, it's over. It's over. The NBA finals are over. It's done. And you know, the winners of tonight's game happen to be OKC. OKC pulled it out. They pulled it out, man. You know, kind of knew that was going to happen to a degree once I saw that that the Pacers kind of was trailing the whole time. And I know that they're not a comeback team. They're not a comeback team. Once they have to be blowing you out in order for them to really get to it, right? If it's close, more than likely in the fourth quarter they're gonna fall back. So kudos to the OKC. I didn't, really put the money up on them. You know, regretfully, I knew that they were gonna actually win, right? But looks like my prediction was wrong. That melanin didn't come in handy. Hey, you know, who knew? But it's there. But OKC pulled it out, man. So kudos to them. They pulled it out. You know, it's only the Warriors, man. Warriors get to the top. Warriors get to the top, man. Either you want it or you don't. Either you're about it or you're not. All right? But OKC pulled it out. They got to it. You know, it's going to be a celebration over in Oklahoma. Yes, you know, that's a good thing. It's a good thing. You know, Oklahoma could use that. Right? So, that's how we're going to do with that, right? Secondly, this is a prelude to the main crux of the festivities for tonight, right? This is a prelude, but I'm sure you guys have seen all of the talk, right, about the conversation of who's better or relevant, Nas or Jim Jones. I'm sure you guys have heard that. It's been talk all over YouTube, right? In all the spaces, all the hip hop spaces, everybody's saying this, everybody's saying that. People are in their feelings. I get it, right? I get it. Pardon me. You know, the cigars is on deck. Oh yeah. The cigars on deck. This is a good boy right here too. Okay. But that's been the talk, it stemmed from a YouTube podcast platform called Direct Williams. And on the platform, it was men in their 30s/40s having conversations with college students. I got a problem with college. That's a good way to have a conversation. That's great. Right. And the topic came up on who's the most relevant artist today. Right. And the question was asked, Jim Jones, Nas, Jim Jones, Nas, the young boys said Jim Jones. We get it. I get it. Everybody else was confused as to how you even speak such blasphemy, right? I get it. Nas is basically hip hop royalty, right? He was part of the foundational build of the actual art form itself, the genre itself. I get it, right? I get it. And it's a nuanced conversation to have, right? It's a nuanced conversation. But it's cool to have those conversations and to have the talk be between the elder statesmen and the youth coming up. That's also kind of what's missing, those conversations, right? To be able to see things from the other person's perspective so they can see it from your perspective, right? That's the only way you really get a greater grasp on things is by having the conversations. You feel me? So the young boys, basically they say, yo, as it stands today for them, Jim Jones is way more relevant than Nas. There's an argument to be had for that. I'm gonna keep it a stat. There's an argument to be had for that, right? Because, pardon me, but because not the best lyricist, but who's the better artist? I mean, who's the more relevant artist, right? And so I get it. You know what I mean? Like, this is not a generation today where they're even trying to think, right? They're not trying to think. Okay, so to expect them to appreciate somebody like a Nas, that's almost a waste of time. Not completely, but almost a waste of time. So this is a generation of low attention spans. You feel me? So like, last thing they want to do is have a situation where they enjoy music and have to decode lyrics. That's not where they are. They're trying to turn up, dance, party, take a few tokes, I guess, but they ain't trying to really decipher lyrics, okay? So as it relates to them, Jimmy is way more relevant as it relates to them, right? Because Jimmy is with the fashion, right? He's more influential, right? Because like a lot of them are dressing like Jimmy. They're not dressing like Nas, right? And Nas really wasn't really known for fashion. Nas was really known for lyricism. He's a lyricist, one of the best to ever do it. He's in the Mount Rushmore, right, of lyricists. Nobody would ever take that from him. But I don't believe that's this conversation, right? This is a different conversation. Okay, so we don't want to do the interpretation thing where we are hearing relevant and thinking better lyricists. Those two are two separate conversations. You feel me? So I can understand how the young boy would say that, because according to him, he's never been to a club and heard them try to, play a Nas record to dance to, right? Jimmy has a few bangers, you know what I mean? Like, he's been, as the years progressed, he's been progressing also as a song artist or as a songwriter. So he kind of, he kind of figured out the formula of what works. Everything has a formula to it. He's got to figure YouTube as a formula. You got to figure that one out too, which is what I'm working to do right now on the low. But it's a formula to everything. If you want to be successful, the formula to everything, right? So Jimmy figured out the formula. He became a better rapper because Mace taught him how to rap, right? So can't take that from the boy. Okay, now that conversation translated into Jimmy actually going to what? Pardon me, Fat Joe and Jadakiss' platform. Now, I know also, right, that even though these are substantive conversation as it relates to the art form, right? I know it's also used to generate clicks and views. I get it, right? Because when Jimmy came on the platform, that's what he did. He spat out his resume, right? Nothing wrong with that. if you guys see me looking around, it's because it's hot outside. There's man bugs out here, and I'm still getting to it. All right, so don't be concerned. All right, but but yeah, so that translated to actually to Jimmy himself, to JJ, going to the Fat Joe and Jadakiss's actual platform, YouTube platform, to break it down and to why he agrees. Of course, he's going to agree. He's talking about himself, right? But why he agrees with the young boy. Okay. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with popping your own collar. That's what you can't say that you're going to be the best and not pop your collar. It's what you're supposed to do, right? Now he did say a few things that was cap. If you go into the stats, right? He said a few things that was cap. But with that being said, right? Nonetheless, Jimmy has an argument. He has an argument as it relates to relevance. Relevance, right? Now, I'm not too fond of that term being relevant. It's better to be a factor, not so much relevant, because you can be relevant today and not tomorrow. But being a factor, that's, that carries over. That carries over. It's difficult to get rid of the factor as it is to get rid of somebody who's relevant now, and then when the time changed, they're no longer relevant. All right. So, but that translated into that, and that also was used as the way to boost the viewership of Jimmy and Jada's platform. Again, I got no problem with the strategy, right? If it works, it works, and it worked, right? It works. The obsceneness of the conversation is what helped it to even work that way. With the fact that everybody thought it was obscene to even think, to even put those two artists in the same conversation, was just ludicrous. That's how the average person would have thought. You know what I'm saying? But Jimmy has accolades. He's done his thing. You can't take nothing from him. Okay? Now we're having a lyricist conversation. That's a different conversation. And Jimmy wouldn't be able to hold a candle. I think he knows that part. He knows. Right? But as far as being relevant to kids today, that's just what it is. Now, with all that being said, I'm gonna say that conversation, as it relates to that Direct Williams, podcast conversation, is the reason why it's important. It's vital. It's vital. It's imperative for those who have the knowledge of what came before. You have to literally sit down the next generation and make them listen to and appreciate what came before. But you can't really appreciate nothing until you understand how it even came about. Okay? Yeah, you could do it. I do it with mine. I do it with my kids. Okay? I send them things to listen to, and I would sit down with them. Listen to this song, listen to that song, watch this video, watch that video, watch this, read that. So it can be done. You just have to actually put the work in to do that. Now, every person's not going to have the wherewithal to do that. That's fine too. That's fine. That's why, I kind of had the mindset, the idea to create almost like an organization that does that, right? That the youth can go to learn the history of all of the things that we actually created. Of course, the parents are going to have to be involved, right? Because you got to send them there. But nonetheless, right, with that being said, though, it's of vital importance for those who came before to not just dismiss those who came after you, but to actually listen to them and to break it down. You have to teach them. You're going to have to become a teacher at a certain point, right? Not just trying to blend in with them. You have to become a teacher at a certain point to those youth that's coming after you, in order for them to be able to fully appreciate what you've created and to take it further. That's the only way it's going to actually happen. That's the only way. Ain't no other way that's going to happen. You feel me? So that's the real, that's the main point as to that conversation. That should be the main point anyway, as to that conversation and why that conversation is even relevant. Not so much the audacity of the question, but more so why it's important for the elder statesman, right, to literally sit down and teach those that's coming up after you. The youth coming up, you're going to have to teach them. They're not going to get it in schools. In schools, they're going to get a small synopsis of the great whole. Okay, all right. So that's the main point. Now we're going to have to transition from the Fat Joe and Jadakiss platform to Fat Joe himself, Joey Crack, Don Cartagena. He's in a pickle right now. He is in a pickle, man. Okay, so we have to get down to the meat and the potatoes. Okay, but the bow-leg Puerto Rican. All right, Fat Joe from the Bronx. Is he now known to literally be a liar, a nigger, a thief, and a chester? I don't know. Based off of the allegations from that case file, it's looking like Joey is a bit problematic, right? And it seems like the thing that I pointed out as it relates to Fat Joe and everything that he touches, right, turns to crap because the boy is cursed, seems to be pretty accurate. Okay, seems to be pretty accurate because once again we got a problem with Joey Crowd. Okay, now this situation is a bit more, not a bit, a lot more egregious. Okay, it's a lot more egregious. I mean, it has all of the makings for a documentary. Okay, it has hits being put on people. It has theft of revenue from partners, man, and it has the egregious part of alleged. Because this is just part of the case file. It hasn't been proven yet. He hasn't been found guilty, and this is a civil case. But yet still, right? He hasn't been found guilty of these things, but also sexual relations with underage girls. That's the most egregious part. That's the most egregious part, right? Any man worth his salt knows we don't truck with that. All right, we don't truck with that. We don't truck with little girls. Men don't do those types of activities. There's a standard, and those standards are set by the actual men of the actual culture, right? You leave children are always left alone. Children and the elderly always left alone. Okay, always. So, but he's being sued, right? He's being sued by a former companion. I won't say companion, but business companion or worker of his. What's his name? Terrence Dixon, aka TA, who's known Joe or worked with Joe for at least 16 years. 16 years. A lot's going to be seen if you've been around somebody for 16 years, okay? All right. So you can't just dismiss whatever he's saying. Now, does that mean everything he's saying is true? No, it doesn't mean that. Okay, but you can't dismiss it though because this is not a fly-by-night situation. He's known Joe for 16 years. Okay, he was a dancer. He was a hype man, right? He allegedly gave some lyrics to Joe and was a security for Joe in the whole nine. So he's seen a lot. Especially if you're security, you've seen a lot. Okay, but the allegations look very serious. Okay, and the list of defendants are not only Fat Joe from the Bronx. You got Bronx gangster Pistol Pete. Pardon me, 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Right? You got Bronx gangster Pistol Pete. You got Rock Nation. You got the ABC Corporation. Man, some heavy hitters are being brought into this actual civil suit. What is Joe going to do? Okay. I don't know. Is this the final nail in Joe's coffin? Is this Joe's nigga wake up call? I don't know. Up until this point, Joe's been dancing through raindrops. Okay. But has the escape finally come to an end? I don't know. Right? But it looks ugly. I'm going to tell you that right now. It looks disgusting. The allegations are extremely disgusting. There's not only evidence, it might be circumstantial, but evidence. There's actual text messages, there's pictures, it's a whole host of things that's being used as evidence to prove beyond reasonable doubt that Joe's a Chester. Okay. Who once tried to put a hit on 50. Now, it's 50. What are you gonna? I've heard that 50 spoke on it. I don't know. I got to find out. A lot of times that stuff is clickbait, also, right? But if 50 is a gangster, he should understand and know if you're going against another person, more than likely that person's gonna try to take you out. But so that's neither here nor there. Especially if they squashed it. If they squashed it, cool, right? I don't see 50 reopening that beef. It doesn't make any sense right now. Because they're both of them are actually somewhere else as relates to business, society, everything. They're both somewhere else right now, right? But these allegations are serious. Can't be overlooked. Now, one thing Joe might have in his favor, is the fact that Joe has insulated himself. He's insulated himself into the folds of those with power. Okay, he's interviewed Kamala Harris. He's given Air Force Ones to Bill Clinton. He knows a lot of people, right? He's in business with Rock Nation, even though he's been, according to the actual case file, he's been stealing from Rock Nation. We'll see how that goes, right? Joe the thief. Okay, Joe the bow-legged thief, whatever. But let's see what transpires, man. Now, will this be the nail in the coffin for Joe and Jadakiss' YouTube platform? I don't know, because now he has to address it. There's no way he's going to be able to just move past it and act like it's not even happening. There's no way. It's even when they do uploads, everybody's going to be talking about that in the actual comments. So he's not going to be able to escape it. Nah. He's going to have to address it head on. You're going to have to say verbally, verbatim, these allegations are false. They are not true. And I'm going to prove my innocence in my day in court. If he doesn't say any of that, if he tries to use LA like Letitia James, talking point is baseless, the nigga's guilty. All right? If you don't say outright, this is all false, it's because he can't say it because it'll be perjury. All right? But we'll see. We'll see what happens with the boy Fat Joe. Okay? But it's looking like this might be the end to the culture vulture. I don't know. Should I give him that term? I don't know. Because, he's been saying a lot of things about those who created the actual culture, even though he's been involved with it also for a very long time. But, a vulture's going to eat as long as there's a carcass around, right? So that's neither here nor there. We don't know. But, how this will play out in the courts, I don't know. How this will play out for Joe and his business dealings, because he's got his hands in a lot of different things, right? He has his hands in a lot of different things. So will this be the nail in the coffin? Time will tell. But I will tell you one thing. This is the age where everything is being exposed. I'll tell you that right now. So if you got some, things in your closet that you want hidden, it's not going to be right now. I'm tell you that right now. I believe this is the age of Aquarius, where everything is being exposed. What was once hidden is being exposed, and time reveals all. All right? Time reveals all. So we'll see if the Puerto Rican will slip past this also. You know, we'll see. How many lives does that cat got? We'll see. We'll see. But that's what it is for right now. Facts over feelings. I'm still back outside. It's a doozy out here. It's after 12, right? AM. And it's still sticky out here. It's crazy. Okay? So I'm going to end this one right now. All right? Shout out again to OKC for putting the spanking on the Indiana Pacers. You gotta call a spade a spade. If they got busy, they just got busy, period. All right? And the one that's the most dominant, the one that has the most will to win is the one that will win. That's in life, period. All right? So peace to the fam, peace to everybody, peace to the God's nerves, peace to Sons of Man, everybody. Stay cool if you can. Drink your water. You know, don't eat too much. Okay? Stay hydrated. All right? And I'm going to talk to you all very soon. But stay tuned. Facts over feelings, man. One more time, like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tap in. This is where it's at. This is where it's at. You might not agree with everything that I'm going to say on this platform, because I'm going to say a whole lot. I got a whole lot more to come in the clip. I'll tell you that right now. But one thing you can know for sure is I'm going to actually be able to prove my point via substantive evidence. Okay? Substantive evidence. Right? So it ain't going to be too much opinions. It's going to be more what the facts is. That's why it's called facts over feelings. All right? Get your feelings out of here, man. Feelings change by the day. But we don't truck no feelings, man. We get busy with the information. All right? We stand in our square like the guys do. All right? Peace to the fam. Peace to everybody. Talk to y'all. Let's see what happens the rest of the week. Let's see if, you know, the next few days are what they're supposed to be. I hope not, but if it is what it is. All right? But talk to y'all soon, man. Peace to the fam.